Good morning. We are on day 20 of Unit 1, Module 1 in Wit and Wisdom, and we are using our book, Why Do Leaves Change Color Still? We're talking about how the weather impacts the leaves in the fall. So we have some writing to do today. So make sure that you have your knowledge and response journal ready, please. So yesterday, just a reminder, yesterday you, on page 34, you did your 3 words from the word list, and you told me how those 3 words were connected, and you did 2 separate sets of those. And today we're going to work on page 35 and 36 and page 33. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you so that we can get started on our video.
Welcome back, incredible thinkers. I'm Sue Sabella, your Great Minds teacher. Let's see what we need for today. Today you'll need assessment 23, the focusing question task, your journal, and a pencil. So pause here to gather what you need, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, you are going to need your journal and you are going to need your pencil, but the focusing question task, assessment 23, you do not need because it is already uploaded into your Google Classroom.
This question will guide our thinking as we think about how much you've learned about changes in nature, and specifically changes in nature in the fall. Read this question to yourself, and then we'll read it together.
How does this text build my knowledge of changes in nature in fall?
How does this text build my knowledge of changes in nature in fall? Because you're such a great observer, you probably noticed the check mark in the corner. This will give your teacher an opportunity to check in with you and to take a peek at your journal to see what you've jotted down for what you now know and what you can do. Let's take a look at my journal to get you started, and then you'll just keep it going. You can continue to add to a cheat chart that you've already started with what I know and what I can do, or you can create a brand new one. Let's get started. I'm going to continue to add to a cheat chart that I already have in my journal. Since we've been working a lot with key terms with important words, I'm going to make sure to include some of those key terms in what I know. One of the key terms that was new for me was chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a pigment and it makes leaves green. Pause the video here to work in your journal in the What I Know column. Jot down what you now know. Pause to work and then just hit the play button when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so you are going to open your journal to page 35. Page 35, and you're going to make that T-chart. What I know, what I can do, okay? And we're just going to do the what I know right now, okay? And I want you to tell me some things that you have learned from reading this book, Why Do Leaves Change Color, about what you now know, what you have learned about leaves, about the changes in leaves, how the weather changes the leaves, what is inside a leaf, things like that. Tell me some things that you now know about leaves and their changes and how they work. So you may pause the video, work on that, and when you have at least 2 things that you now know, you can hit play and continue the video.
Now I want you to think about what you can do. What can you do as a reader now? What can you do as a writer now? Your skills are developing every single day. Pause the video here to work in your journal, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so they're going to do the same thing. You're going to tell me some things that you now can do as a reader or a writer. And some examples are that in this section of Module 1, we learned how to write a conclusion sentence for our informative paragraph. We learned how to continue to pick or choose evidence for our informative writing. We learned how to read the captions of a informative text. Remember on our picture of the inside of a leaf? There it is. We talked about how to read the captions and how those are important. So those are some things we learned how to do as a reader or a writer. So I want you to pause the video and come up with at least one thing that you can now do. So in my journal, I wrote, I know that leaves make food for the tree. And I know leaves need sunlight and water to make chlorophyll. And what I can now do are, I can write a conclusion sentence for my paragraph, and I can select evidence for my informative paragraph. So those are things that I now know and things that I can do. Right.
Now you're going to have an opportunity to continue to show what you now know and what you can do as a writer. You'll be completing the focusing question task today. Let's read the focusing question together. How does weather impact leaves in fall? You've gathered evidence and you've also practiced your paragraph. Today, I'd like to share with you how you can use your evidence organizer to support you as a writer and to help you consider exactly what you would like to include in your paragraph. At this time, I'd like you to take out Assessment 23 and flip to the evidence organizer. Pause here if you need time to grab that, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so you don't have the evidence organizer, but you do have the charts, the evidence organizer chart that you were supposed to do yesterday on page 33 of your, 33 of your journal. So it was the evidence organizer on page 33. So you need to turn to this page right now and follow along with Miss Sabella, because this is your evidence organizer that she is showing you.
When you look at your evidence organizer, you'll probably notice that you have lots of evidence. You might have 2 or even 3 bullets of evidence in each column. When you go to write your paragraph, you're going to want to choose one piece of evidence from each column. To help you as a writer, it helps to look back over your evidence and to select or choose the evidence that you would like to include in your paragraph before you start writing your paragraph. Let me show you how I do that with the evidence that's in my first column. When there's lots of sun and rain, leaves make sugar to feed the tree. Remember, it's helpful as a writer if you choose one piece of evidence from each column. So before you start practicing your informative paragraph out loud or writing your informative paragraph, take time to choose evidence and choose one piece from each column. And then you can use that evidence to practice your paragraph out loud. Add your topic statement at the beginning and your conclusion at the end before you practice, and then you'll be ready to write. You've got this.
Okay, so on your page 33, on page 33 of your journal, we're going to go ahead and do this right now. So get your yellow and your blue marker or colored pencil, whichever one you want to use. We're going to use yellow first. I'm going to choose my first piece of evidence from the first column. And because I'm going to write about how the weather makes the leaves change, I need to say something about weather. And the only one that I have on my first column that talks about weather is how the chlorophyll absorbs the sunlight. So I'm going to choose that one as my first piece of evidence. I want you right now to pick which piece of evidence you are going to use. My second piece of evidence is going to come from the then column. And since I talked about sunlight in my first piece, I want to continue that process. I want to talk about sunlight in my second piece also. And it talks about how there is less sunlight. So I'm going to circle that one. That's going to be my second piece of evidence. And then I'm going to use my yellow again. Go ahead and choose your second piece of evidence, please. And then on the finally column, we really only wrote one thing down, all of us. So we're going to have to circle that one. That's going to be our third piece, where it talks about the other pigments coming out from behind the chlorophyll. So my first piece of evidence that I'm going to use in my writing is that chlorophyll absorbs the sunlight. So first, chlorophyll absorbs the sunlight in the summertime. Then there's less sunlight, and so there's not as much chlorophyll. And finally, the other pigments appear, the yellows and oranges and reds and browns and purples. Okay, so there's my three pieces of evidence. So if you need to pause the video right now to make sure that you have all three pieces of evidence, please do that, and then push play when you're ready to continue.
Now it's time for you to write your informative paragraph. So hit the pause button so you can work quietly, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so now the next part, now that you have chosen your evidence, we're going to go to page 36 of your journal. And you're going to answer the focusing question task. How does weather impact leaves in the fall? We know that the weather impacts the leaves because there's less sunlight, because the air is cooler. Remember, a topic statement is, and you have to answer the question with the topic statement, okay? It doesn't have to be anything big or elaborate or fancy. The question is, how does weather impact leaves in fall? Your topic statement could be something simple like the change in weather impacts leaves in the fall, or leaves in the fall change because of the weather. It can be something simple. Then you're going to use your three pieces of evidence, first, then, and finally, to tell, first, then, and finally, you're going to tell me how the weather in the fall impacts the leaves. And this is something new this time. We need a conclusion sentence. This is our first time writing a conclusion sentence. A conclusion sentence is just you stating the topic. So if you said for your topic statement, leaves in the fall change because of the weather, then your conclusion sentence could be something very similar, like the weather changing in the fall impacts the leaves. Okay, you're just restating what your whole paragraph was about. So that is what you need to work on. Go ahead and do it right now. You can push pause and work on it as long as possible. When you are finished, push play. So you're almost done with the video. So go ahead and work on that. Push pause, work on your writing, and then push play when you're ready to continue.
Remember, every time you read a book in this module, it helps your knowledge grow, especially about change. And as you read Why Do Leaves Change Color?, it helped you understand how change impacts nature. So as we continue on to other books, I want you to keep this big question in mind. How does change impact people and nature? Leaves are always changing, and so are you. You are growing in knowledge, and your skills as a writer are also growing. You now know how to write a conclusion. I will see you again soon, powerful writers.
Okay, so that is the end of the video lesson. So I'm going to show you what your work is today. Okay, so in our Google Classroom, you need to go to the classwork section. And this is week 8, Wit and Wisdom week 8. So you are going to have, oops, hold on, I need to show you in the other room. So you are going to fill out your what I know and what I can do on page 35. You're going to give me 2 things that you now know and 1 thing that you can do. And then you are going to take a picture of your page 35 and you're going to put it in this Google document so that I can see what you wrote. So that's the first thing you're going to do today. And then you're going to do your focusing question task on page 36. Okay, so here is the picture of my page. So you need to have a topic statement. You need to write first, then finally, and you need to write a conclusion today. And here is my example of my evidence organizer. Remember, do not have to use the same ones I chose. You can use any of the other ones on the evidence organizer. And then here is the assessment 23 with the question right here. How does weather impact leaves in fall? Okay. So you're going to finish that and you're going to write it on page 36. Now, for some reason today, I tried several times to make a Google document or a Google slide for you to put your picture in, but it would not work. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to take a picture of your page and just upload it to the assignment, attach it to the assignment. Okay. Let me see if I can show you how to do that. I can't do that from here. Okay, sorry. All right, so those are your 2 things that you're going to work on today. You're going to do page 35, the what I know and what I can do, and you're going to finish your focusing question task on page 36. All right, so that is it. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you later.